Hi, very glad to see you on the channel. Before you start listening to the story, write in the comments whether you like the voice on the video. I was gone for 4 days. Just 4. A regional hardware expo in Wichita, 3 hours west, a motel with flickering lights, and long coffee-fueled seminars about tool margins and seasonal stocking. Riveting stuff. I almost didn't go. Natalie said I should. You've been so tied up in the store. You need a break, she insisted, tossing a protein bar into my duffel like I was heading to war. She even kissed me on the cheek before I left. Don't forget to breathe, she joked. It was a normal goodbye. I thought it was anyway. When I came back, the air in our house felt wrong. Not bad, just rearranged. The little things hit me first. The front door's lock felt stiff, like it hadn't been used often in the last few days. Inside, the living room looked cleaner than usual, too clean. The blanket that always draped over the couch was folded like a hotel towel. The diffuser on the shelf was loaded with a new scent, mint eucalyptus. Natalie hated eucalyptus. Smells like a yoga instructor's trunk, she used to say. I stood there for a second, bag still in hand, trying to decide if I was overthinking things or if something had truly shifted in my absence. She wasn't in the living room or the kitchen. I found her upstairs, sitting on the edge of our bed with her laptop in her lap, earbuds in, grinning at something on screen. When she saw me, she blinked, startled. "Oh, you back already?" I glanced at the clock. "It's 4. You knew I'd be home around now." She smiled. "Sorry, I lost track of time. I was just catching up on a live." She closed the laptop too fast. Not slammed, just hurried. I set down my bag and leaned against the dresser. "House smells different." She tilted her head. "I put new oil. Figure we could switch things up. I like it now. You used to say it made your throat itch." Well, I guess I changed my mind. I watched her, trying to decide if that was an innocent shrug or a rehearsed deflection. She kept her gaze light, her voice even, but her fingers fidgeted with her bracelet. We ordered takeout that night. Natalie chatted about new recipes she wanted to try and some local influencers she'd started following on a health journey. Her phone buzzed 3 times during dinner, each time with a quick glance and an almost imperceptible smirk. I didn't say anything. I just filed it away. The next morning, I found a different shampoo in the shower. Men's. Some high-end brand I'd never heard of, mint-scented. I didn't use it. She didn't explain it. I didn't ask. That afternoon, I saw a pair of shoes by the door I didn't recognize. Men's size. Scuffed. Not mine. But they were gone before I could mention them. "Natalie," I asked casually over coffee, "did you have company while I was gone?" She looked up, blinking. "No. What? Just saw some things out of place." She laughed. "Maybe the house elves are bored." I smiled. She grinned back, but there was a flicker in her eye, a tiny crack. I knew it too well. Natalie was a performer, a master of curation, online and off. She could make her life look perfect in snapshots. But you can't filter your eyes. Not up close. The next night, I saw her on a video call, whispering into her mic with the lights off. She said it was a meditation group. She said they were doing breathing work. I nodded. She kissed my cheek after the call and asked if I wanted to do smoothies in the morning. I said sure. But that night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, listening to her soft breathing beside me. And for the first time since we got married, I felt like I wasn't lying next to my wife. I was lying next to someone who knew exactly how to hide. By the 3rd day back, I had convinced myself that maybe I was just seeing ghosts. Sometimes being away makes the familiar feel foreign, like a reset or a bad dream. Still, I kept noticing things that didn't sit right. It was in the details, how she'd laugh at her phone and instantly silence it when I walked into the room, or how she never left her laptop open anymore. Natalie used to leave her digital life sprawled across every surface. Chargers, phones, sticky notes with to-do lists for her content calendar. Now it was all sealed up, private, tidy. Thursday night, I got off work early and came home to a silent house. Not unusual, but there was a subtle difference in the air, something like the house had exhaled too hard. No music, no clinking dishes, just the faint hum of electronics and a scent I couldn't place, something sweet and oddly synthetic like gum or candy. Upstairs, her office door was cracked. I stepped in quietly. The glow of her LED vanity lights cast a faint pink hue over the room. The chair was slightly swiveled, still warm. Her water bottle was on the desk, lipstick on the straw. Her phone was gone, as was her laptop, but the ring light was still on. There was a makeup bag half-zipped, a hoodie tossed over the back of the chair. Definitely not one of mine. It was navy, oversized, with a logo I didn't recognize. I reached for the tag. Some gamer's brand. I heard the front door open downstairs and quickly backed out of the room. Grabbed a bottle from the fridge to make it look like I was just grabbing a drink. Natalie walked in a moment later, wind in her hair, cheeks flushed like she'd just come from a jog, though she was wearing jeans and boots. She froze when she saw me. "Hey, you're home early." "Yeah, closed up the shop." "Light day." She smiled. "Nice." She gestured vaguely, "Getting fresh air." "Cool." I took a sip, watching her. "You been upstairs?" "No, I was out." "Why?" "Just looked like the light was on in your office." She blinked, then nodded. "Oh yeah, I left it on earlier. Probably forgot to turn it off." That was a lie. A small one, but it landed like a slap. Friday morning, I tried to put it all aside. Told myself not to jump at shadows. Maybe she bought a hoodie online. Maybe the gaming logo was from a promo. I worked until 3, then headed to the bakery for her favorite chocolate croissants. A peace offering to no one, really. Just habit. I walked in the front door and heard laughter. Hers. Upstairs. Through the vent, I caught the echo of her voice, then silence, then something that sounded like applause. I froze. Creeping up the stairs, I moved slowly, careful not to make the old railing creak. At the top, I stopped. Her office door was closed now. No light coming through the crack. Just silence. Then, faintly, her voice again low, like she was reading a comment. I knocked. A pause. Then the sound of a chair scraping. "Yeah," she called. "Just brought croissants," I said. "Want one?" The door opened. She poked her head out. Hair perfect, face powdered, but she looked surprised. "Sure," she said with a smile. "Thanks. You doing another webinar?" "Yeah, the wellness thing. Still doing that every Friday." They moved it to evenings. I held up the bag. "Well, this one's got your name on it." She took it, kissed my cheek quickly, then shut the door again. Click. Locked. I stood there for a second, holding nothing, before walking downstairs and turning on the TV just to drown out the sound of my own heartbeat. It wasn't a wellness class. That much I knew. She'd never locked the door for wellness. Never put on lashes for breath work. The next day, we went to lunch with her friend Shayla and her boyfriend. Shayla brought up a streamer she was obsessed with. Viper something, she said. "He's hilarious," she added. "Total nerd, but his stuff goes viral all the time." Natalie smiled too hard. "Yeah, I think I've heard of him." I looked at her. "From where?" She shrugged. "Instagram, probably." Something in the way she answered made Shayla glance between us. But no one said anything. The conversation moved on. When we got home, Natalie said she was going to take a bath and headed upstairs. I sat in the garage and stared at the cracked paint on my workbench. My thoughts were a carousel of images. Her face on that video call, that strange gamer hoodie, the way she'd panicked when I showed up unannounced. It all pointed somewhere, but I didn't have a name yet. Just a sinking feeling. That night, we went to the Johnson's bonfire across town. It was cold enough for jackets. As I reached for mine in the hallway closet, I found hers shoved in the back. It still smelled like sugar and cologne. Inside the pocket was a parking pass for a community center, 2 towns over. Valid for the last 3 Tuesdays. Each marked from 6 to 9 p.m. Wellness class. I didn't say anything that night. Just held her hand beside the fire, nodding at neighbors, watching the flames dance in her eyes as if they were still reflecting something honest. And just like that, I started to wonder, what kind of fire was she playing with? I couldn't stop thinking about the parking pass. It wasn't just the distance, 2 towns over, a solid 45-minute drive one way, but the fact that it lined up perfectly with the times Natalie said she was doing her so-called wellness classes. There wasn't even a yoga mat in her car, and when I'd asked before what kind of sessions they were doing, she'd muttered something about chakra flow, like she was reciting a script. I let slide then. Now, I was starting to realize how well-rehearsed she'd become. Monday afternoon, I stayed late at the store to organize inventory. It was an excuse. Truthfully, I was just avoiding going home too early. I wasn't ready to pretend again. Around 6, Natalie texted that she'd made smoothie bowls for dinner and was heading to class early to help set up. The emoji at the end felt like a dagger. Smiley face, yoga pose, sparkle. I stared at the screen for a minute before replying. Sound good. Enjoy. Then I drove straight home. She was already gone when I arrived. Her car wasn't in the driveway. The smoothie bowls were in the fridge, perfectly arranged in glass containers, topped with banana slices and something sprinkled that looked like it came out of a Pinterest board. I didn't eat. I went upstairs. Her office door was open this time. I took my time going through it. Not the laptop. That would be password protected and probably wiped of anything useful, but the drawers, the bins, the shelves she rarely touched anymore. That's when I found the box. It was tucked in a bottom drawer beneath a pile of expired planners and a folder labeled brand deals. A small matte black box, the kind you get from boutique stores. No label. Inside was a sleek keychain, silver, engraved with a logo I didn't recognize. It looked like a joystick with lightning bolts. I turned over my hand and found a tiny card underneath. Thanks for the weekend. You're unreal. V. I stared at the handwriting. Sharp, slanted, confident. I'd never seen it before. That was the moment my chest went cold. It wasn't just some flirty gift. It was personal. Someone had written that note, packed this keychain, and assumed she'd keep it. Maybe he even expected her to show it off. Instead, she buried it in a drawer like a souvenir she couldn't throw away, but couldn't risk displaying either. I placed it back in a box, slowly closed the lid, and smiled. Something in me clicked then. Not a breakdown. Not anger. Something more surgical. I wasn't going to explode. I wasn't going to accuse her, beg her, or make a scene. She wanted to play pretend? I'd join her performance. But I'd rewrite the ending. First, I took the keychain. Not to confront her. I had a better idea. I walked into the garage, grabbed my soldering tool, and delicately scorched the logo right off the metal. Melted it into an unrecognizable smear. Then I dabbed it with grease from my workbench, packed it back into the box with the note, now looking like it had oil fingerprints across the bottom corner, and slipped it right back into her drawer. Let her find it that way. Let her wonder how it got damaged. Let her panic over whether I saw it. I wouldn't say a word. Not yet. Not until she gave me more. And she did. Faster than I thought. Wednesday morning, she got a package. I brought it in before she came down. Plain brown wrapping. No return label. Inside, a t-shirt with the same logo as the keychain. Joystick. Lightning bolts. The Streamer brand again. I folded it neatly, then stuffed it into the laundry basket under some towels. If she asked about it later, I'd act clueless. But she didn't. Instead, she came home from class that night humming to herself, kissed me like she hadn't spent 3 hours somewhere I'd never been, and asked if I wanted to watch a documentary. We sat on the couch. I watched the screen. She watched her phone. Around 10, she excused herself and went upstairs. I waited 15 minutes, then followed, barefoot. Her door was open a crack. I saw the glow of the laptop, heard her voice, soft, performative. I didn't hear what she was saying, but I heard a ping, then another, then a chuckle. She was streaming something, or talking to someone who was. I backed away slowly, went down to the garage, and stood in the dark with the door cracked open just enough to let the cold air bite my skin. I stayed there for a long time, trying to understand how it all got here. How the woman who used to panic when she missed my text could now slip out 2 towns over to entertain someone else behind a screen. But she didn't know I knew, and I planned to keep it that way, at least for now. The next week, my instincts locked onto a new target, Rick, a name I wouldn't have even considered a few days ago, but once the idea took root, wouldn't let go. Rick had been hovering around Natalie's world more than usual lately. He was her old high school friend, now turned part-time personal trainer, part-time fitness consultant, which I figured meant he posted shirtless videos online and occasionally gave people stretching advice. Natalie mentioned him twice in 3 days, something about collaborating on a wellness challenge and how he'd totally rebranded. The third time she brought him up, she laughed too hard at a joke I didn't hear. My stomach twisted. I tried to play it off. Rick still single? I asked over breakfast. She looked up from her phone. I think so. What? Just curious. You talk about him more than usual. She smirked. Well, he's doing some cool things. He's got over 10K followers now. Sound exhausting? She rolled her eyes. You don't get it. It's a niche. I got it, all right. I got that Rick had started sliding into conversations the way a foot wedges into a doorframe. Smooth, casual, intentional. I started watching their interactions more closely. The way she smiled at her phone right after dinner. The way she'd chuckle and not explain why. On Thursday, I caught her mid-text with his name clearly in the notification preview. You texting Rick? I asked, leaning over to grab the remote. She blinked, then tucked the phone face down on the couch. Yeah, just about some fitness posts. He asked for feedback. That moment lingered like a bad taste. Later that night, I crept out of bed and checked her phone where she left it charging in the kitchen. Locked, of course. But the next morning, I managed a glimpse as she scrolled through her messages at the table. I saw a sticker, a heart, and his name again. The more I saw, the more certain I became. Rick had to be the one. It all fit. He was local, accessible, someone she could sneak off with under the radar. The perfect smokescreen. So I did something I hadn't done since college. I followed him. Saturday morning, I skipped opening the store and instead parked across from the gym where Rick taught classes. I waited, watched. His car pulled in late. He was wearing his usual uniform, tight shirt, backward cap, overconfidence. He went inside. Natalie had said she had errands, that she was picking up some skincare product in the city. But 20 minutes later, my eyes caught a familiar shape, a silver sedan like hers, turning into the next parking lot over. I tensed. The window was tinted too dark to see inside. The figure stepping out had the same gait, same bag, same stance. But when they turned to the sunlight, my breath caught. It wasn't Natalie. The woman looked like her from behind, but the face was different. Young, early 20s. Not her. I watched her walk into a boutique next to the gym, completely unrelated. I sat there, pulse still racing, as Rick came out a little later, laughing into his phone. He wasn't meeting anyone. He wasn't sneaking glances around. He was just another guy grinding through Saturday morning shift. I felt stupid. Still, I waited until he drove off. Then I went home, hoping I hadn't completely lost my mind. But something odd happened when I got back. Natalie was already home, and she looked startled. Didn't expect you back this soon, she said, clutching a paper bag. Skipped the rush. Wasn't feeling it. She nodded too fast. I was just about to make tea. Want some? Sure. While she boiled water, I looked at the bag she dropped on the counter. It was from a store I knew, skincare, just like she said. I peered inside. Serum, face mask, lip balm. Receipt dated 30 minutes ago. Location? 2 towns over. My stomach turned again. I sat on the bar stool, watching her as she moved around the kitchen. Calm, collected. You see Rick lately? I asked. She froze mid-reach for the mugs, just for a second. Not really. Why? You mentioned him last week. Oh yeah, just messaging. You still the hair. She smiled too easily, then poured the tea and handed me the cup. He's rebranding again, she added casually. I think he's going full lifestyle now. I nodded slowly. Makes sense. But my certainty was gone. Rick wasn't a guy. She was lying, sure, but not about him. And that made it worse. Because it meant there was someone else. Someone I hadn't seen yet. Someone not even on my radar. I excused myself after tea and went out to the garage under the pretense of fixing a broken shelf. Instead, I pulled up my laptop and started searching. Twitch, YouTube, Twitter. I started typing pieces of the logo from the keychain, trying to find a match. After 2 hours, I still had nothing solid. But something told me I was close. Too close for her to keep hiding much longer. The next clue came not from a text, not from a drawer, but from a stranger. It was a quiet Tuesday afternoon at the store, dead traffic, just me restocking nails and organizing levels when a guy in his early 20s came in, hoodie half on, earbuds dangling, and that distracted, twitchy energy of someone trying to multitask real life and digital drama. He asked about drill bits. We chatted casually, and just as he was checking out, he glanced at the framed photo by the register. It was Natalie and me from a fall festival 3 years ago. She was mid-laugh. I always liked that picture. Wait, the guy said, squinting. Is that your wife? I looked at the photo, then at him. Yeah. What? He let out a short laugh. No way. I swear I saw her on stream last night. Viper_1's channel? I thought she looked familiar. My spine stiffened. What's that? I asked, careful to sound casual. He leaned in. Twitch streamer. Plays a lot of shooters, does late-night streams. Big personality. Usually just him in his gaming room. But last night, there was a girl in the background. They kissed between rounds. Chat went nuts. Looked like her, dude. I handed him his receipt, managing a smile. Huh, probably someone else. Yeah, maybe, he said, and left without a second thought. But I didn't move. Didn't speak. I stared at the photo again, at her easy laughter frozen in time, while my mind raced. The name stuck with me. Viper_1. Not Rick. Not a local guy. A streamer. Someone with an audience. Someone far enough removed from our lives to make her feel like it wouldn't catch up to her. That night, I didn't say anything. Natalie came home, claiming her Tuesday group had run late. She looked refreshed, energized. She mentioned nothing about streams. No comments about Twitch. Just kissed me on the cheek and started reheating soup. While she stirred the pot, I excused myself and went back to the garage, where I typed Viper_1 Twitch in the search bar and hit enter. The channel came up instantly. Bright graphics, bad jokes, clips. I clicked one mark from the night before. 1.3K views. He was mid-round in a game, talking trash into his mic. And then, as he leaned back in his chair, a figure passed behind him. In his room, a woman, barely visible, brushing her hair out of her face. His camera caught the movement, and someone in the chat instantly wrote, "Yo, who's that?" Then he turned and kissed her. It was blurry. The lighting wasn't great. But I knew that jawline, that laugh. Natalie. My fingers curled in a fist before I realized it. I didn't watch the rest. I just sat there, the silence around me growing thicker by the second. She was never going to tell me. She wasn't even careful. She was confident, like she thought the digital world she'd escaped into wouldn't bleed into our real one. But it had. And now that I knew, I wasn't going to confront her. I was going to let her keep lying. Because lies this big deserve something better than anger. They deserve a performance. And I was just getting started. I didn't sleep that night. I lay beside Natalie, her breath steady, her body relaxed, as if nothing in the world could rattle her. Maybe nothing could. Maybe she'd built such a perfect world of followers and filters and live streams that the boundary between truth and performance didn't even exist for her anymore. But for me, the lines had never been clearer. She kissed him. On camera. In the room she told me didn't exist. On a night, she told me she was doing mindfulness breathing with her Tuesday group. And the kicker? She wasn't even hiding that hard. She didn't have to. Because I trusted her. Because she thought I'd never look behind the curtain. The next morning, she made pancakes. "Big day?" she asked, flipping one over. "Just some inventory checks. Might be a long one." She nodded, poured syrup like it mattered. "You've been quiet lately." I met her eyes. "Just tired." She smiled softly, like she believed that. "We should plan something soon. A weekend getaway. Maybe hit the lake again." "Sure," I said. "That'd be nice." Later that day, I sat in the back office of the store, lights dimmed, laptop open, headphones in. I watched the rest of the stream from 2 nights ago. Her voice didn't come through much, just faint giggles in the background. But then a moment, she leaned into frame, kissed him again. Someone in the chat said, "V got himself a real one." Another typed, "Yo, she's hot. That your girl?" And then, "That Natalie?" My breath caught. The name sat there. Plain as day. No de naives. No pushback. Just a new wave of emojis and applause. I scrubbed through older clips, digging, watching. In 2 others from the past week, she was visible, laughing, sitting in his lap once, holding a drink in a plastic cup, like she belonged there. I didn't know what hurt more, the deception, or how comfortable she looked in a world I never got invited into. That night, I asked her casually, "You still talk to anyone from your Twitch group?" She looked up from her phone. "Twitch? Didn't you say you joined a Twitch fitness thing a while back?" She hesitated. "Oh, yeah, not really." It fizzled out. "Shame." She nodded. People weren't consistent. The lie slid off her tongue with ease. I kept my face blank and changed the subject. But inside, I was no longer looking for answers. I was preparing for the end. Because this wasn't just cheating. This wasn't just a mistake. This was deliberate. Repeated. public, and she didn't even flinch when she lied, which meant the fallout had to be louder than the lie. Saturday was the day. She said she'd be heading out around 3. Wellness group again, she added, stuffing her water bottle into the tote bag she used every week. Same bag, same story, same lie. I kissed her on the cheek, told her to drive safe, and watched her back out of the driveway like nothing in her world was cracking. The moment her car turned the corner, I grabbed my keys and left through the side garage. I knew where to go now. I traced the clues. The background in his stream had a distinct wall poster, a neon-lit skull that flickered in sync with his LED lights. It was featured in his clips and his fan photos. One reverse image search later, I had the exact make and model. Limited edition. Only sold at one custom shop, and that shop happened to tag his name on a local post 2 towns over. It didn't take much from there. A few social media breadcrumbs, an old real estate listing that still had the bedroom layout, and I had the address. It wasn't hard to find. A small house, newer construction, tucked in a quiet cul-de-sac behind a shuttered strip mall. I parked across the street and waited, tension curling tight behind my ribs. Natalie's car was already there, parked like it belonged. I gave it 30 minutes, then walked up the sidewalk like I'd lived there my whole life. The blinds in the front window were cracked, just enough. Through the gap, I saw it, her silhouette, unmistakable, crossing the room. She was laughing. I couldn't hear it, but I knew that body language. She looked free, like someone who wasn't tethered to any reality beyond the one she'd chosen. I didn't knock. I didn't kick down the door. I just stood there outside that glass, watching as she leaned over his shoulder. He sat in front of the stream setup, headset around his neck. On the screen, I saw his Twitch dashboard, active, glowing, prepping for another live session. Her hand slid to his back, casual, intimate. And I knew. There it was. Everything I needed. I backed away slowly. My heartbeat didn't spike. My hands didn't shake. All I felt was clarity, a clear, focused silence in my chest. I drove home in a daze. The sun was dipping, casting gold across the fields. Our town felt smaller than usual. I stopped by the shop, turned the lights off, and sat in the dark for 20 minutes, just thinking. Not about her. Not about him. About what came next. When I got home, Natalie was already there. Hair damp from a quick rinse, fresh-faced, wrapped in the soft hoodie she always wore when she wanted to look cozy and guiltless. "Hey," she said, smiling. "You okay?" "Long day," I said, hanging my jacket. "Want something to eat?" "I'm good." She moved closer, kissed my cheek, then curled up on the couch with her laptop, as if nothing had changed. But everything had, because I wasn't her husband anymore. I was her ghost, and she hadn't noticed yet. I spent the next 3 days gathering what I needed quietly, methodically. Not evidence. That part was over. I had already caught her. This wasn't about confrontation. It was about the story, about making sure the lie she built collapsed the way she built it. Publicly, online, perfectly lit and wide open. The irony didn't escape me. She'd used a screen to betray me, to live a second life behind digital walls. So I'd use that same world to take it all from her. First, I made the burner account. It was easy enough. Blank username, default profile. No links back to me. Just a name that would pass through unnoticed until it didn't. Then I waited for the right stream. I tracked his schedule, Viper41, the username that kept showing up in her browser history. He streamed Tuesdays and Thursdays like clockwork, with the occasional Saturday night special. I watched quietly for a few days, watching how she moved behind him. She never spoke in the mic, never fully stepped in a frame, but she was always there, crossing behind with a mug, leaning in to whisper something, once even tossing a pillow at him mid-game, which he caught with a grin like they were rehearsing some sitcom couple routine. The chat adored it. "Who's your girl?" they asked. "She's a vibe. Natalie is wifey material FR." I didn't flinch when I saw it anymore. Thursday night, I saw the notification pop on my burner account. Viper1 is now live. I clicked instantly. He was already playing mid-match, headset on, shouting to his squad about some kill streak. The camera caught the room behind him in full view. And there she was, Natalie, wearing the hoodie I'd bought her 2 Christmases ago, the one she claimed was too big back then. She was sitting cross-legged on a beanbag behind his desk, phone in hand, laughing at something on screen. Like she belonged there. That's when I sent the tip. $200. The comment attached? Simple. Shout out to Natalie for bringing her husband's tools to another man's workshop. The message popped in bold, bright letters across the screen. Highlighted. Unmissable. The chat froze. Then chaos. Wait, what? Bro? Is she married? Not in no way. His face changed in real time. 1 second focused, the next pale, stiff. He glanced at the screen, read the message, then blinked hard and tried to ignore it. But the chat wouldn't let go. Natalie? Is this for real? You cheating live? He tried to play it off. Ignore the troll, y'all. Just random haters. Natalie had stood up by then, looking at the screen from behind him. I watch her read it. I watch her freeze. Her mouth opened, closed. She whispered something into his ear. He shook his head. The chat was going wild. Screenshots started flying through the feed. I saw one user drop a screen grab within 60 seconds. Natalie brings her husband's tools to another man's workshop in bright green overlay, next to a photo of her blurred in the background. The stream ended 5 minutes later. Abrupt. Mid-match. I closed the tab. Logged out. Then I posted a photo. Me, standing next to Danny, the local tattoo artist, arms crossed in front of her shop. She'd done a tiny compass for me last year, and we'd stayed friendly ever since. The caption was just 7 words. Some people talk about being open. Others find someone real. Mutegis. No names. But it didn't matter. By morning, the ripple had turned into a wave. Natalie's socials were flooded with comments. Screenshots. Questions. Half her following turned on her in real time. Some defended her. Some laughed. One post simply said, "So that's the wellness group." She tried to delete them. At first, she shut off comments. Then private messages. Then she pulled her Instagram down completely. By noon, she was pacing the kitchen with her phone glued to her hand, eyes red. "I don't know what's happening," she muttered, more to herself than me. "Some troll found the stream. People think it's you." "Did you?" I looked up from my coffee. "What?" She stared at me. "You didn't do this?" I blinked once. "Do what?" She searched my face for something, anything. But I didn't give her anything to find. She sat down across from me, shaking. "It's all coming down." He kicked me off the channel, deleted every video with me in it, said he can't be part of the drama. "My brand is everything is," she trailed off. I took a sip. "That's rough," I said. She looked at me like she didn't recognize me. But the truth is, she never really did. And now, I didn't need her to. The storm didn't end overnight. Natalie spent the next 48 hours doing damage control that didn't work. Her phone was either glued to her hand or tossed onto the couch in frustration. I stopped keeping track of how many times I heard her groan at another DM, how many times she mumbled, "They're blowing this out of proportion," or "It's not even true," as if the problem wasn't what she did, but how loudly it was exposed. She tried reactivating her socials, tried deleting comments, blocking people, but nothing online ever really dies. The screenshots were already everywhere. Every new post she made was immediately hijacked with the same joke, the same phrases, the same signature line, my line. "Tools to another man's workshop." She never asked me again if I did it. She knew. She just didn't want to hear it out loud. By Monday night, she was sitting at the kitchen table, hair pulled up in a rough bun, hoodie wrinkled, eyes puffy. I came in from the garage and barely made it to the fridge before she spoke. "Josh, can we talk?" I didn't answer right away. Grabbed a drink, closed the door slowly, then looked at her. "I know I messed up," she said, voice shaking, "but it wasn't like that. Not how people are making it sound." I said nothing. She kept going. "Viper, his name's Darren. He was just an escape. We weren't even official. We didn't plan anything. It just kind of happened." I leaned against the counter. "You were kissing him on camera." She blinked, caught off guard by the flatness in my voice. "I thought we agreed to try something open," she said. "You said yes. You pitched it like it was some emotional growth trend," I said. "You didn't tell me you were already living it." She opened her mouth, then closed it. For once, she didn't have a quick answer. "I didn't know how to tell you," she finally whispered. "No," I said. "You didn't want to." Her lip quivered. Social media made it feel different, like it wasn't real. It was real enough to wreck your life when it got out. That landed. She stood up then, came around the table slowly. Josh, I want to fix this. We can come back from this. Please. Esther de Hair. The same woman who had sat in our bed laughing at her phone while lying to my face. The same woman who told strangers on a stream more truth than she'd ever offered me. There's nothing to fix, I said. Don't say that, she whispered, reaching for my hand. I'll delete everything. I'll stop all of it. I'll go back to before. I'll be better. I didn't move. I'm still your wife. No, I said quietly. You're someone I used to know. Her face crumpled. Please, Josh, don't do this. You're the only real thing I have left. I was always real. You just traded me in for likes and pixels. She dropped to her knees, right there in the middle of the kitchen. Her breath caught in short gasps as she sobbed. I am sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you. I stared down at her, but all I could feel was distance. I didn't want to hold her. I didn't want to comfort her. I didn't want revenge anymore. I just wanted her gone. I need you to leave, I said, voice calm. She looked up, stunned. What? Pack your stuff. I already talked to a lawyer. I'll handle the paperwork. Jos, no. This can't be it. It is. She broke down again, full sobs now. But I didn't move. I didn't reach down. I didn't kneel beside her. I turned around and walked out to the living room, closing the door behind me. The sound of her crying behind the door didn't haunt me. It didn't move me. It just confirmed what I already knew. She was sorry she got caught, not sorry for what she did. And that makes all the difference. Thank you for listening to the end. I hope you enjoyed it very much. Don't forget to give a like and tell us in the comments what you would do in such a situation.